Hello, and welcome to Why Am I Still Sick? Finding the roots of chronic illness so you can solve them and reclaim your life. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Davidson, and I have been working to help people solve their chronic illness for the past 15 years. As a chronic illness sufferer myself, since I was a little kid, it's really been my life's mission to find the deepest solution for this. I've tried pretty much everything and been putting it all together for a long, long time so that I can help all the people who have the chronic illness to finally get well and reclaim their lives. So, whether you've been diagnosed with a chronic illness or not, maybe you just are constantly tired or constantly in pain and you have not had any diagnosis, you can solve it and I can help. So anything from that chronic fatigue or chronic pain, anxiety, depression, chronic digestive issues, mood swings, weight gain, all of these things, even things with names like fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome or any of that kind of stuff, all of those have roots that you can find and solve. So let's get right into it because you've probably seen enough doctors and tried enough things and taken enough supplements and maybe some medications too. And I'm guessing if you're anything like me, that you've gotten pretty frustrated and felt hopeless at times because it takes a lot, especially when you're ill already, to be searching for a solution and trying and trying and trying and not making any progress. So I'm so glad you decided to be here today to learn what I can share and finally make some progress. So let's get started. So in the notes for this event, I asked you to bring your blood work if you have it. Now, why blood work? I know you probably have some because you're chronically ill, and that's one of those things that they test, the MDs, I should say. But you've probably been told that it's normal. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, mine was always normal, and pretty much everyone I've ever seen, they've been told that all their blood work is normal. What I want to do today is help you find some markers in that blood work that can turn things around and actually show you what's going on a deeper level. So the first thing I want you to look at, if you have it, is your vitamin D. Vitamin D, I know they don't often test for it, so you're lucky if you do have it, but almost everyone, especially if you live in northern climates like I do, is deficient in vitamin D. The normal range is generally considered about 30 to 100. But most people don't feel good until they're at least 80. So look at yours and see what you think. If it's anything under 80, you need a vitamin D supplement. And not all supplements are created equal, and I can help you get some really good ones. So let's keep in touch and I can send you in the right direction to make sure you're getting the most effective supplements and taking the right amount, because most supplements, the most vitamin D supplements, I should say, the suggested dose is not enough to get you up to that 80 in any reasonable time. So you're likely going to take more than it seems like you should, but it's okay because you can't overdose on vitamin D. Okay, so that's out of the way. The next thing you want to look at is iron. And if your iron is low, then your MD really should have flagged that for anemia, but you can check. It should have a normal range on there and see if your iron is low. Iron is the other thing, along with vitamin D, that is super important for your cells to be able to work, for you to get energy. I don't want to go deep into iron here today because I want to get on to some more interesting things. So now the exciting part is the complete blood count. So your white blood cells and your red blood cells. This is helpful on its own. but it's even more helpful if the differential is included in there. So if you have that in front of you and you can scan down and see if you see anything that says neutrophils or lymphocytes, that means you have the information to figure out what's going on here. So the first thing you want to look at there is your white blood cells. Ideally, your white blood cells are 5 to 8% of your complete blood count, and your red blood cells are the rest. So white blood cells, 5 to 8%. If it's below that or above that, then you have an infection. When I say infection, I don't mean an infection that would necessarily show up on a test. You're not going to go to your MD and they're going to be like, oh, you have this bacterial infection, take this antibiotic. No, it's not that intense an infection, that extreme an infection, but it's underlying, and it's likely been there for a long time, so long that your body has just gotten used to it and just accepted that bacteria or virus or parasite or whatever it is as part of its normal. And it's not really normal and can cause a lot of problems. Some of those problems being joint pain, because bacteria like to hang out in your joints. Fatigue, because your body's constantly working to fight this infection. Not fighting hard enough to get rid of it, obviously, but just constantly working to keep it at bay so that you don't get sick. Because, I don't know, a lot of us chronically ill people are moms with careers and stuff like that. And if we get sick, what are we going to do? I mean, we don't have anyone to take care of us. We got to take care of everyone else. So our bodies really don't let us fail acutely very often. They'll keep us chronically under the weather, but enough so we can function, but not necessarily feel good or be able to enjoy our lives. We're just getting by. We're, taking care of the kids, doing the work most of the time when we can, but often in discomfort and struggle. Are you tired of being uncomfortable and in struggle? I sure was. It's so amazing to finally have my health. Okay, so next step, look at those white blood cells. Let me know your percentage. You can put it in the chat. Okay. Now you want to look at the differential on those white blood cells. That's going to be the key for today. So ideally, your neutrophils are at around 60%. Your lymphocytes are around 30%. Your eosinophils are around 0 to 3%. Your monocytes are around 4 to 7%, and your basophils are around 0 to 3%. So check out those numbers and see what you think. Okay, so some things to look for. If your neutrophils are more than 60%, you likely have some joint pain, because what that indicates is that you have a bacterial infection that you've had simmering in there for a long time. And don't worry, we can take care of that. Next, look at your lymphocytes. If they are more than 30%, that indicates a viral infection. Viral infections can cause some joint pain for sure, but also the fatigue is big with viral infections. Next, look at your monocytes. If they're more than 7%, that also indicates a viral infection. If they're more than 12%, that indicates Epstein-Barr virus, which some of you may have been diagnosed with already. It's becoming more and more of a common diagnosis, and it's a pretty extreme one, but you can have many similar symptoms to Epstein-Barr, even if you haven't been diagnosed, because the virus is in there simmering. Now, your eosinophils, those are an indicator for parasites or potential food allergies. So if those are above 3%, I'm guessing, since you're here, that you've been checked for food allergies or you've tried some elimination diets, and so that's not an issue for you at this point. So if your eosinophils are more than 3%, then you likely have a parasitic infection. And then the basophils, very similar to eosinophils, but more on the food allergy side. So if those are high, if those are above 3%, then you should probably check for food allergies again, or do some elimination of, the highest allergenic ones like wheat and corn and soy and things like that. For me, I recommend just cutting out grains and sugar as best you can, because that's where most of the allergens come from. Okay, a few other things to look for. So you want to look at the ratio between your neutrophils and your lymphocytes. So the ideal ratio is 2 to 1. So the neutrophils around 60% and the lymphocytes around 30%, 2 to 1. If this ratio is closer to 1 to 1, that indicates that you've got an autoimmune pattern going on. I know autoimmune sounds scary because there are all those autoimmune diseases that are diagnosed and are basically a life sentence. Well, they don't have to be, and you don't have to be diagnosed with an autoimmune disease to have an autoimmune pattern going on. What that means basically is that your body is so overwhelmed that it's fighting against itself right now and really needs some support. So what's likely going on is that you not only have a bacterial infection, but you also have a viral infection and potentially a parasitic one too. All kinds of things that your body is just fighting so hard. This is a time to take a deep breath and give a little applause for your body. Give yourself a pat on the back, because your body is really doing the best it can with the information that it's been given over all the years that you've been alive. It's always adapting and always working as hard as it can to keep you surviving. Unfortunately, sometimes we have so much going on that surviving is not the same as thriving. And I want to help get you thriving, because that's where we should all be, and that's going to be the most fun. And that's where we can contribute the most to society. And that's the really big mission, is that we are all living our best lives and giving the most we can to the rest of the world, so that we can have a better place to be, and better relationships, and more love and joy and happiness and well-being. Okay, so I want to give you a little visual so you can actually see those things, because I know if you weren't ready to take notes, then you probably got a little lost there. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see. Just gonna have to get to a different spot, but I know which tab it is. Okay, here we go. Google Docs, come on. All right, here it is. Okay, so these are the normals that I just went over. So neutrophils, 60%. If those are high, you have a bacterial infection. Lymphocytes, 30%. Those are high, a viral infection. Monocytes, 4 to 7%. Those are high, a viral infection, possibly Epstein-Barr. And Epstein-Barr, monocytes might sound familiar because of mononucleosis. Remember that thing that teenagers get? It's the same thing as Epstein-Barr virus. So if you had that at any point in your life, it's likely still doing something in your body and affecting you. So yeah, think back on your health and things that you have been diagnosed with, because sometimes those don't 100% go away. I mean, obviously you're not having the full-on symptoms that you had at that point when you had mono necessarily. You might be, but still a lot of the same stuff potentially, like the fatigue and the just constant malaise. I know a thing that I had for a long time was like a constant drippy nose. Like, why? But all that stuff can get well, I promise. Eosinophils, don't want those to be above 3%. That indicates parasites. And the basophils, see if high, that's a food allergy. And then this ratio is important. If that ratio between the neutrophils and the lymphocytes is closer to 1-to-1 than 2-to-1, that indicates an autoimmune flare that's currently happening. And I can certainly share this document for anyone who would like it, but I'm going to stop sharing now. So what do we do about all of this stuff? Well, that is where I come in. So what I love doing for people is helping them see what's going on and all these possibilities, and then creating a plan for them to get well. So I use a series of supplements, a protocol, in order to address each part of what's going on. So my first mission is to just get you feeling better, feeling more like yourself. Or maybe I shouldn't say that, because for me, feeling like myself for a long time was feeling like shit. So want to get you feeling better, get you having more energy and just a bit more zest for life. So that's really where, like, making sure your iron and vitamin D are good and getting you stabilized in that way so that your cells can start functioning as they should. So very targeted supplementation to get you through that first little bit. And then the second phase is getting rid of infections. So most of the time when you see, like, if your neutrophils are high, it indicates bacterial. If your lymphocytes, it's viral. Most of the time, one or the other is prevalent. So that's what is indicated in the numbers, but they're both present. So addressing both is key. A lot of people show that high viral and their bigger complaint is fatigue, but they also have the joint pain, which indicates bacterial. So it's a balance of the numbers versus the symptoms. And of course, what you feel in your own body, because probably the most important part of what I'm talking about today is right now. So listen, because you live in your body 24/7. So you know it best. You know what's going on better than any doctor, better than me, better than any MD you've ever been to, better than anyone who's diagnosed you with anything or told you to take something. You know your body best. So if any of this doesn't feel right to you, if it doesn't like light you up and give you hope, then it's probably not for you. And if I was to write up a treatment plan for you and it didn't feel right to you, then we would tweak it until it was right for you, because you know best. You are the master of your universe, and I mean, you're in your body 24/7. One of my biggest strengths is intuition, and I know that we are all intuitive. And so your intuition with your body is what you need to follow. And I am so happy to listen to what you have for input and give you my reflection on that with all my years of experience. So please feel empowered to trust your body, trust what it's doing, recognize the things that it's doing right, because it's doing a lot right. And yeah, thank your body for that. And tell me how I can help you with that, because I'm not here to say that you're doing anything wrong or that there's anything wrong with you, because I truly don't believe that there's anything wrong with you. I believe that there's always room for improvement, but your body's doing the best it can. Little example of that. One of the things that gets blamed for lots and lots of illness and disease, maybe pretty much all of it, is inflammation. Well, what do you think inflammation is doing in your body? Have you ever sprained an ankle or even just gotten a cut? What happens? It gets inflamed, right? It swells, it gets red, it hurts. So all of that is bringing fluid and nutrients to the injured area to help it heal. The swelling is splinting it so that you don't injure it further. And the pain is messages to your brain to say, hey, this is injured, take care of it now, and don't injure it any further. Really, really smart, right? Yeah. Well, when you have chronic infections going on in your body, like these bacterial and viral and parasitic things that you likely have, then your body is constantly generating inflammation because it's constantly trying to heal. So by going a level deeper than just trying to get rid of inflammation, we can solve the problem that the inflammation is trying to fix. And then the inflammation goes away because it does its job and you don't need it anymore until you get hurt again or something. But by clearing out all the junk that's going on and keeping you inflamed, we can reset your system so that things can work better. And this is another piece that I want to mention while we're here, is probiotics. I know that's kind of a jump, but trust me. So a lot of people think that probiotics are the answer when you've had stuff like antibiotics or any kind of infections, or you need to reset your gut. And probiotics, I'm not saying anything's wrong with probiotics, but they often don't work. Why is that? Because the bacteria in your body, the ones that are keeping you working so hard, are prevalent. And when you just throw probiotics at it, they have to fight off all that stuff before they can do their job, but it's never enough. So to get rid of all that harmful bacteria and viruses before you go for the probiotics and resetting things, then you can clear out all the junk and put the good stuff in so you can start on the right foot and really heal at a deep level. So this is my goal for you, is to help you see that there are roots to these chronic issues that you've been having, and we can find them. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to blood work. You can dive deep into an iron panel or a cholesterol panel or a metabolic panel. All of these things show lots and lots of info that can correlate with all these infections and various things that are going on. Thyroid panels, hormone panels, those are all the next step, but often the stuff that I'm talking about today resets yourself enough that things like thyroid and other hormone issues go away. So, next steps. What did you find in your blood work? Send me what you found. I really want to know, or put it in the chat because that would be fun. But I know it's a little bit public here. You can private message me. But I would love to know. And in gratitude for you showing up here today for this little workshop, I would love to give you a free consult. So you can schedule with me. We can talk about what is going on with you and see if diving deep into your blood work and creating a plan to get well makes sense for you. And also, I wanted to mention that my plans are very targeted, and my mission is to get you well. And supplements are a part of that, but I don't want to keep you on supplements forever. Most of the supplements I would recommend you'll take for a month at a time, and then we'll go to the next phase. I like to work in 6-month plans because 6 months is a good base for resetting everything. And then after that, hopefully we get to the maintenance point where you might just, need to keep taking that vitamin D. I live in Vermont. I'm always going to need vitamin D. So anyway, I would love to hear from you. I would love to gift you a free consult. And also in gratitude for you being here today, I would like to give you 10% off my 6-month package. If you decide to go with that, you start with the consult, you decide if you want the package, and I'll give you 10% off for being here today. If you refer a friend, I'll give you another 10% off. If you refer a friend for a consult, another 10% off. So, anyway, please reach out. Let me know what you learned today. I would love to hear at least one thing that you gleaned from today. See if this was helpful for you, if you got any insights. And I'm here. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Davidson at drelizabethdavidson.com. And I am ready to help you reclaim your life from the roots up. Thank you.